strategies. One role that fathers play in a home is to attempt to keep peace, attempt to keep balance, attempt to minimize frustration. And as we are raising our beautiful seeds, our beautiful children, strategies are always very, very helpful. Practical ways to still meet the maintenance of a house, the management of a house, kids' chores, redirecting behaviors that you don't want to develop into patterns, mistakes that children are making, problems that they might be experiencing. And it's important that we address those things in real time. But the day-to-day maintenance and operation of any home, requires a sophistication to it. It requires a strategy, and it requires some practical consensus among the mother and the father, assuming it's a two-parent home, or in the case of a single-parent home, the mom or the dad definitely also needs strategies. I have found that when we kind of react in an impulsive way, an irritated way, that it further breeds heightened irritation, heightened frustration. Hey, Dr. Went, happy Friday to you. What you doing now? You should be out on happy hour, out with your girlfriends on a date or something instead of here with the old man. But nonetheless, I'm glad you're here, Dr. Went. Today, I'm just talking about a few parental strategies that have worked in my home. And as you all can imagine, I had 5 kids in the house at any given time, ranging their stair steps, so they're a couple of years apart. And so when they were young, it could be a chaotic, fun, beautiful kind of time. And as they got a little bit older, still the same. Now that they're out, I'm looking back on different things that I thought worked and different things that certainly could have been improved upon. So today, I just want to share a couple of strategies with you all, regardless of what age your sons are or your daughters are. Maybe this is something that will be helpful to you. And again, in the comments, if you have strategies or have tried these things and they've had varying levels of success, feel free to add. But again, J4 conversations about 2 fathers and 2 sons talking about life. In the J4 solo dolo sphere, we're going to build upon some themes that might not necessarily make sense for the young men to share because they just haven't lived those life's experience. So there'll be a chance for some solo appearances to kind of talk about that. So just a couple of strategies I want to share with you. One of the main sources of tension I observed in my children, sons and or daughters, was the process of chores, whether it's after dinner, cleaning up the table, doing the dishes, getting the trash out, cleaning the rooms, cleaning common areas, right? That always seemed to be a source of tension. And so very early on, I figured out that the frustration came because they were in the midst of doing something that they found value in, they found entertainment in, they found distraction in. So, but they were in their thing. They were in their mind. They were with their gadgets. They were watching something on TV. They were on a phone call, whatever the case may be. But they were very much in a personal state of themselves, right? And when you would call them to do a chore and to do it abruptly, it required them to immediately have to contend with something they wanted to do versus something that the parents wanted them to do. And that created this moment of angst, this moment of tension, this moment of irritation. And I found that although they would come begrudgingly, they would come with attitudes, they would be irritated, and the whole experience would just be nonsense, right? So I said, okay, I'll tell you what. Let me honor the fact that they were in midlife, they were in mid doing something, and that it was the abrupt redirection, taking them out of what they wanted to do something I wanted them to do, that was creating the frustration. So I found out, families, parents, if I did this. If I announced outward loudly, okay, y'all, we are going to clean the kitchen in 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, I want y'all to come on down and we're gonna knock this out, make the house look right, get it smelling good, get it all cleaned up, and then we'll be done for the evening. I found that if I gave them a little window of time, right, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever the case may be. So in that case, I'm sure they still didn't necessarily want to do it, but they realized that they still had time in what they were doing. They could psychologically bring that to closure and get ready to sort of close that out and then move on to a family expectation around chores. So, beautiful families, a strategy when you're wanting your children to do some things that's not on schedule or impromptu or something that you as a parent just want done. It always seems to work out a little bit better in my experience if you give them a duration. Hey, 15 minutes, get your butt on down here. We're going to knock out these dishes. We're going to clean this kitchen up. We're going to handle this table. 15, 20 minutes from now, I want y'all to start on your rooms, get those taken care of, whatever the case may be. I found that none of my children appreciate, they didn't really understand what I'm doing, but I did not have to mitigate the frustration of immediately taking them out of something that they were doing. They felt that they could control that, close it out, and then go do what the old man asked. So that's kind of strategy number one. I don't know if that's a good strategy, but it works in the Jones household. The second strategy, and these are around behaviors that you're seeing, right? Maybe it might be homework's not getting done. Maybe it's when you pick them up from school and they, what did we say? Leave the house so they can play their music loud so long as the house is clean. Right. Okay. Yeah. You let them make it their own orchestration, right? You say, hey, I'm going to be back in an hour and a half. I don't know how it gets done. I don't care how it gets done. It just better be done. And y'all enjoy yourself in the process. Put your own flavor on it. Because when they clean with dad, they got to listen to dad's music, right? They got to go to my Spotify. But this way they can do it on their own. I feel you on that, Dr. Wint. Beautiful, beautiful. So if there's some things that are this, really character issues that you must make sure get addressed, you're picking your child up from school and they got you waiting, right? You ask them to communicate with you when they're out with their people, with their friends, and then that doesn't happen. Or you're asking for certain kinds of things to get done and you find that they're not being done timely or at a level that you expect. I have found that these issues need to be addressed, but they always seem to be addressed in what I'll call praise and redirect. Praise and redirect, right? So if you have a child that's not perhaps communicating with you the way you like, and the first opportunity you get to have a solo conversation with them, you go immediately to the criticism. You go immediately to articulating your frustration. Hey, granddad, you go immediately to your own irritation with them. I have found that thing creates tension. They have a sense when you're about to redirect them. They have a sense when you're about to check them or approach them on something that needs to be corrected. And they already have a sense of tension built up, a sense of angst and anxiety that might be associated with that. And then when you come in, especially depending on your level, we all got a 1 to 10, right? We all got a 1 to 10 on how we approach something. And depending on how frustrated you are, you come right in with the frustration. They're already frustration. That thing's going to explode, right? And it is counterproductive to what you want to have accomplished. And that is a change or a redirection in the behavior. So I have found if you praise and then redirect, the redirection strategy, the redirection expectation is received much more often. It's received in good faith. The listening occurs, the conversation, the work through it, and then the ensuing correction of the behavior is most likely to occur versus just all criticism, all you're not doing something, right? So if you were to say, hey, let's talk, let's chat, let's chop it up. First of all, I want to commend you on your grades. It seems like you got a hold of that. Grades are continuing to be where they need to be. I want to commend you on kind of taking some initiative, in the house. You did X example. You kind of cleaned up a certain space, without having to be told. I want to thank you for kind of, doing this with your little sister, with your little brother. All right. So some things are going real good. However, I have some concerns about communication. I have some concerns about X, Y, Z, right? So I stacked it with 3 examples of praise, built them up esteem's good. They feel all right. Pop's acknowledging, right? Pop's recognizing some things that I've done. And therefore, now that I feel like I've been seen, validated in positive things, now let me hear an area where I can improve, right? I've also found that if I'm frustrated, but yet I'm praising, it's hard to maintain frustrated when you're praising good behaviors and traits in your beautiful seeds. It also kind of calms me down, and then I can think more level-headedly about what I want redirected, and then we can talk about strategy. So beautiful families, praise, then redirect. Praise, then critique, right? In doing that, you have positive will, positive intention, coupled with potential frustration, and that'll balance itself out. If you come in with the mad frustration, critique, whatever the case may be, then that's all it is, right? I have found that change, which is the ultimate goal, redirection, switching behavior, which is the ultimate goal, is better serviced in a model of praise and redirect. All right. Now, the final thing I want to share with you, and y'all feel free to share anything in the comments that you want. Just vibing on a Friday, J4 solo style. Appreciate y'all being here with me. Granddad, I hope you're good. I'll give you a call in a minute. Dr. Went, thank you for being here with me on a Friday. Let's change that in the future, get you out in these social streets. Curfews. Oh, man. Curfews. This is a very, very important thing for your children. What they can do with their time, how their curfew lines up with their peers, their opportunities to have abbreviated social outings. You know, they got to leave when everybody else is still hanging out, right? Their perceptions of whether or not you're a mean dad, mean mom, right? Whatever the case may be, you're a strict mom, you're a strict dad, whatever the case may be. But also a sense of independence, right? When you're out with your friends, you're out at a house party, you're at the movies, you're at the football game. All these things are critically important, and how they are allowed to manage their time is one of the first gestures of youth independence. And so curfew is always a sensitive subject area. And right up front, no matter what you establish as the curfew, they're going to call you and ask if they can have 15 more minutes. 30 more minutes, right? That's how the beautiful young people do it, right? Pushing boundaries, but that's all a part of coming of age. It's a beautiful process. So I've come up with a formula. I want your critique. I want your example on it. But I say this, curfew ought to be their age minus 5. What's the math on that, right? Their age minus 5, okay? So when does an average person even need a curfew? Well, elementary school, you don't need no curfew. You're coming home with mom and dad, or if you're out, you're with mom and dad. Middle school, maybe so, right? 7th grade, 6th grade, kind of first out, 8th grade, certainly high school. So how old are you in, let's say, 8th grade? You're 13 years old, okay? You're 13 years old. 13 minus 5 is 8 o'clock, all right? What do you think about that? 13 minus 5 is 8 o'clock for the 6th grader. Okay. 8th grade is 14 in the 8th grade minus 5. That's 9. That's 9 p.m. Okay. Is this good math? What you think, Dr. Went? What you think, Granddad? A sophomore in college, in high school, is 16 years old. Minus 5, that's 11 p.m. Right? 17-year-old, that's my daughter's age right now. She's a senior, but in most cases, that's a junior's age. 17 minus 5 is 12. That's midnight. 18, if you're even in the curfew game still, that's 1 p.m., right? I think that's a good formula. So we'll call it curfew ought to be your baby's age minus 5. Your baby's age minus 5. 17 years old, that's midnight. 16 years old, that's 11. You're a sophomore in high school. Freshman, 14. Take off 5, that means you got to be back at 11, if my math is right. You like that formula, Dr. Went? I like that too. Your curfew is your age minus 5. Now, the benefit of having a formula, especially when you got multiple kids, is that you can consistently stay to the formula and minimize the perception of unfairness and fairness across your teens. And it's consistent with boys, and it's consistent with your daughters, consistent with your sons, consistent with your daughters. I have found that they know at what age their big brother, their big sister could come home. And they're making a mental note of that. And when it comes their time at that age, they're looking for the exact same thing, nothing less, nothing more. And if you somehow hem haw and make theirs shorter or even later, you're going to hear from the other one. And so balance, fairness is real important to families with multiple children who are watching, comparing, analyzing, adding things up, and they're looking for those same privileges when they get that particular age. So sounds good, even though I never thought of that with you. Right, yeah. Big Pop, I lived in the garage. You could have gave me a 10 p.m. curfew. I've been out in the streets. So I see a couple of more folks coming in here. So today we're just kind of chopping J4 solo dolo style. Gives me a chance to address content that wouldn't quite fit when two fathers and two sons are talking, particularly because the young men just wouldn't have life lived to be able to speak to that. So just to recap, 3 strategies. When you're asking your children to do chores, give them a timeline. Hey, 15 minutes, come on down. We're going to handle these dishes. That way they don't have to abruptly stop what they're doing. They have a sense of autonomy. They can psychologically spend a little bit more time in what they were doing, close it out in their own terms, and then begrudgingly come on down to do what the dad or the mom asked, right? Give them a time frame. 30 minutes from now, we're going to have a major cleanup. We got company coming, right? Give them a time frame. Let them close what they're doing out and get to the next joint. The other strategy is if you're trying to correct behavior, I mean, it's a serious issue. You don't like it. You want it addressed. You're frustrated. Don't approach them frustrated. Approach them with praise and then constructive feedback. Give them 2 or 3 things that they're doing very well. They're feeling good about it, right? Feeling good about themselves. Feeling good. Then you bring in the frustration. It blends itself out. They're more open to it. They're willing to redirect. 2 to 3 positives and then the criticism, okay? And then finally, curfews. Here's a formula for curfews. Their age minus 5. You got a 14-year-old, the curfew's 11. You got a 15-year-old, the curfew's midnight. You got a 16-year-old, the curfew is, well, no, the math is wrong on that. Your age minus 5. 18, yeah. You're 16. You take away 5, that puts you at 11 p.m. You're 17, you take away 5 on the 12-hour clock, that's midnight. So that's the old man's recommendations. If you thought those were helpful, let me know in the comment as we get ready to close. And share that formula. See what your friends think about it. See what other parents think about it. Your age minus 5 on the 12-hour clock. That means your 18-year-old can rock and roll till 1 p.m., which is decent for a young person. All right. Beautiful J4 family. Thank you so much for plugging in here with me on a Friday. You still got some evening left. Go hang out. Go chop it up with your kids. But remember, if you want them to do chores on a Friday, tell them 20 minutes. Time to get on down here. We got some cleaning to do. Having said that, beautiful family, peace, love, peace, love. Thank you, Dr. Went. Appreciate you. Talk to you soon. See you on the next one. Oh, yeah. Like, subscribe, and share. Again, we're trying to be relevant to families and fathers and mothers, raising beautiful seeds to be the best human beings they possibly can be. That requires strategies. Parents talking with parents. Love.